All right, so let's begin. The Beyond Red and Blue is a workshop, a talk, and a book that I'm writing, which is um, a revising of a book that I wrote in when Trump was president for the first time, called How to Evolve During the Trump Experience, Whether Humanity Joins You or Not. And it was written, as all my books are, as therapy for me, but also to help people who are having trouble with Trump. And on the back of the book, it says, Donald Trump is not a problem to be solved. He's an in-your-face wake-up call, a calling to evolve. As this book assists you to do your inner work, Trump may still be acting like an insensitive jerk, but he won't continue to jerk your chain, because you'll have discovered how to remain in your peaceful, powerful, and playful center, where love and joy and immigrants can enter. Wow, man, that still touches me after all these years. So, I'd like to speak through my emotions. So I was invited, called, you might say, to rewrite the book for this time period, whereas the original was people having trouble with Trump. This version is people having trouble with the polarity. So the first book was, oh God, we all hate this man. How do we deal with it? The second book is, I'm tired of the division, the polarity, everybody being right, including myself. I'm tired of righteous anger. And so I'd like to read you, if I can get through it, the poetry that opens the book. And the poem is called Through the Glasses Darkly. The book you are reading will start off with rhyming. Consult Dr. Seuss for a lesson in timing. But this is no story for kids getting tucked in. It's a wake up adult's book for the nightmares we're stuck in. A book without answers, but chock full of questions. Chew on, ones to chew slowly for mindful digestion. Like, why do most people see just red or blue? Could there be more than one right point of view? Are opinions synonymous with what is true? Is this what our founders envisioned we do? Old Honest Abe, now, he was the man. A house so divided cannot long stand. He was Republican, President Lincoln. I'd like to see more of the ways he was thinking. Why are opinions becoming more rigid? Why is the Cold War becoming so frigid? I have a theory I'll share in this book that points to the glasses through which we look. It's a dark pair of glasses that block the light. They show us two colors, just black and just white. No room for discussion. You're wrong and I'm right. My blood pressure rises. My jaw gets so tight. And I'm left with two options, just fight or flight. And when I am choosing between those two F's, it brings out my worst traits and hides all the rest. No thinking things through. I'd rather go tribal and stick with my own kind. Steer clear of my rivals. My rivals are up to no cannot be the least understood. My glasses make sure I can see with perfection that I have the high ground in moral direction. Now, it's easy to see those dark glasses on Putin, but in my own mirror, now that I'm disputing. I'd rather be blind to my mind's battle front and blame all my pain on those liberals or Trump. Could it be the whole nation's now wearing these glasses? Seeing the world through the fog of our asses? Using social media for amplifying the reasons the other side needs demonizing. Our differences seemingly so polarizing, we can spend half the day back and forth analyzing. And through algorithms, we see only our tribe and think the whole universe is on our side. The trespassing's always those other dumbasses, and never the fault of our own faulty glasses. May this book help us take off those glasses and see what we all have in common, our humanity. Nice deep breath, everyone. We all have something in common, our humanity. And yet, it seems that our country is divided between those of us who are righteous and those other dumbasses who can't see the light because I'm right. And it's like we're in too much pain to borrow somebody else's point of view, and without disagreeing or agreeing, just try on for size the way they see the world, their bias. We all have bias. I was born with flaming heart liberals. I have biases. And I remember when I was in a men's group, there were two traditional Republicans, and I really fell in love with these men. I got to know their hearts, their pain, divorces, bankruptcy. They made millions. They had children. They had good hearts. And I once got up enough courage to ask one of them, "Why the hell are you Republican?" Clearly revealing my biases. I said, "Please explain it to me. What do you appreciate about the party?" And well, one of them said, "Well, thanks for asking, Scott. It's rare that I get to have these conversations with people who are friends and who are asking me sincerely without throwing me out of their hearts." And I said, "Yeah, go ahead. Give me what you got." And he said, "Our country was born of breaking away from tyranny, from governments that repressed people's free will, the freedom to make money and start businesses and find our own way and our own moral high ground. And the Republican Party, maybe not so much today, but we're not going to get into that. The Republican Party was founded on this idea that if you'll let people find their way, they're going to find a natural balance between wanting the best for yourself and your family, but also giving to others. Like it was based on trust humanity, man. We'll get there. We don't need all the rules. We don't need this big government telling us what's right, what's wrong, and how we're going to get punished if we don't follow the guidelines. So I never heard that before. And from my liberal framework, it was amazing for me how it was explained to me in a way I could understand. And I really try to see the humanity in people, even when they can't see it in themselves. I was on an airplane, and right across the aisle from me were two people wearing MAGA hats. And I tuned them out as they were talking about their grandchildren, because I had my own prejudices about anyone wearing those hats. And eventually, I just let go enough to allow my curiosity to take over. So I said, "Excuse me, can you tell me, what are your grandchildren's names?" And then we started a conversation that lasted about an hour. We had a 4-hour flight, showing me pictures, asking me about my daughter, the things we had in common as parents. And it was really beautiful. And it got me to a point where I was able to ask them from a genuine, sincere place that wasn't making them wrong. I am curious what kind of world you're hoping President Trump leaves for your children, and especially your grandchildren. What's your hope? What's your vision? And they painted a picture of the same kind of world I want to live in. It's like we had shared values, but very different strategies for how to get there. But I so appreciated that moment. And since then, I've been taking Republicans out for dinner, doing a lot of listening, and leading with my curiosity instead of my fear and judgment. Curiosity, it's so divine. Curiosity helps me be kind. What a thrill to lead with curiosity instead of fear and animosity. I love to just be curious too. I love being curious. It opens my heart. It feels very childlike. It reminds me I don't have all the answers. There may be more than one valid point of view. And when I see through the eyes of, I used to believe that liberals had it all, and that wow, Republicans were stupid and selfish and narcissistic. And I have met, including the men in my men's group, people with really beautiful hearts and love and desires that are similar to mine, who are Republican, including one of my dearest friends and one of my spiritual mentors, who voted for Trump 4 times or 3 or whatever. It just threw my world into a spin, because I had been thinking, okay, the Democratic Party represents less fear and more progress, and Republicans represent, just thinking for themselves and worshiping. Well, the way that our minds like to divide things into good and evil, and just make it all so simplistic. And I'm so grateful that my mind has been blown. Yes, there's racism. Yes, there's fear. Yes, there's narcissism on both sides of this imaginary fence. Now, I do have my own beliefs. I do believe that capitalism has gone wild in our country, that it's an experiment that, at least for the moment, has failed. And what else do I believe? But I also see like a really super big picture where even what's happening which is leading to a massive dying of the old. It's like speeding up something that needs to blow up. It's true, as I look back in history from the Roman Empire, even before that, that every civilization is born, has a middle age, and dies. And usually, actually all of the time, you can predict the death of a civilization by the gap between the rich and the poor and the vanishing of the middle class. So it looks maybe like America's done or getting close to it, and that maybe Trump and his cronies are just speeding up what needs to happen. And, to me, it's just like anybody dying. There's beauty in the death process. There's no need to prolong something that needs to die. And I know it's hard to hear, and I know there's a lot of people suffering because of our policies, and I'm not proud, and I'm not happy with it. So there's a big picture in which all is well, and there's a little picture in which people are suffering. So I honor both pictures. I honor my grief, because when I'm angry, I'm really grieving, and I'm maybe afraid of my sadness, so I go to anger. But it's also true that you can use anger in a positive way to change the world. As long as you don't use it in a punitive way, these people are guilty, I'm innocent. But if you use your anger as a force of change, as a force of good, to open your heart and make you passionate about what you envision that needs to change, anger can be fuel for a better world. As long as you don't stay stuck in there's victims and there's villains, and these are the villains and these are the victims. That mentality, we all know from our spiritual journey, it's not necessarily so. It ain't necessarily so. So I'd love to end. How much time do I have left for the poem? So, boy, I wrote this when Y2K was happening. There's always the end of the world is always at hand, right? For my grandparents, it was World War I, the fear that came up during that time. For my parents, it was World War II. For me, it was nuclear madness and the fears that I had as a kid that I was going to be obliterated. And for my daughter, it's climate change. But every age has the fear of the end of the world. And so this poem is called, "Oh dear, the end times are here." And then in parentheses, the end of fear. Gather, my friend. The end times are here. Not the end of the world, but the end of your fear. So turn down the lights, make it dark now. I dare you. Stick around for a while, and I'm gonna unscare you. Now, when you were young and things were quite swell, fear knocked on your door with a product to sell. And like most good salesmen, he cast quite a spell while selling insurance called All Is Not Well. Now, All Is Not Well came in its own case, the case that there's danger all over the place. And after you bought it, your All Is Not Well, you felt it your duty to share and to tell. And so mouth to mouth was how fear procreated, with no YouTube or Facebook to disseminate it. Fear went viral all over the globe, using old-time religion to dispense and promote. Because fear knew the way to get globally big was to drive a false wedge between God and her kids. That's how fear came to be so domineering, by replacing God loving with "you must be God fearing." And so fear and religion began co-creating and cooked up a symbol of fear they called Satan, as if infinite love had a worthy opponent with pitchfork in hand who could pounce any moment. Concept was great for maintaining control, making people behave as if they're on parole. Because when God-fearing people are scared for their souls, they put much more silver and gold in the bowls. So business was booming and fear kept on spreading, and fear liked the credit the devil was getting. Because fear itself likes to stay hidden from view and play hide and seek in its host, which is you. I'm not afraid, I'm just angry and shout, I've been mistreated and need to speak out. I'm not afraid, I'm upset and I'm caring. So many disguises that fear enjoys wearing. He's proud of his wardrobe because he designed it. Though fear wouldn't admit it, he is quite clothed. So he doesn't realize he's often dressed funny, wearing layers of worry, looking like a stressed bunny. Now, in the interest of time, because this is a 7-minute poem, let me go skip a little bit. So, so fear went viral. So it's hard to skip. So fear soon went viral. Oh, no, I already did that part. Something about, oh, I love this part. So fear caused widespread suffering, and his only friend was Stephen King, whose collection of books make outstanding addictions as long as you realize you are reading fiction, which is what you can do with your own fear collection. Just transfer them all to your mind's fiction section. No matter how gripping a tale fear can tell, its original premise that all is not well is topsy-turvy in this universe and deserves to be laughed off the face of the earth. While you are laughing, you let in the light, which makes fear pack his bags and get on the next flight. Because fear needs to feel needed. When you choose joy, fear has no choice but to be unemployed. He used to feel needed when lions were chasing you, gathering speed with intentions of tasting you. But nowadays, most of the lions we find are fictional cats roaming around in our minds. When you stop feeding the cats in your head, they just go away because they're not getting fed. And with a clear head, you are free now to choose a channel that's broadcasting much better news. So you get off your couch, turn off your TV, and tune into WLOV. Has no commercials, nothing to sell. Just a steady reminder, all is quite well. All is quite well. Is insurance enough? You're already covered by a plan you can trust. You've got Universal, the original plan. But there's never a moment you're not in good hands. You're no longer buying fear's insurance scam. Because you know every moment you're in good hands.
Thank you.